I have survived TCG Players Black Friday and Cyber Monday sale. Let's chat about everything we learned. Well, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. My name is Louie. I hope you're having yourself a fantastic day. I hope you had yourself a great weekend. It was a crazy busy weekend for me, and I know for a lot of you guys, if you were also selling product on TCG Player this weekend, you are running out of energy and you're probably pretty tired as well, as it was a crazy weekend. They did this 10% cashback and store credit sale that drives a lot of people to the marketplace to buy. If you are still watching this video on Monday, you might be able to get a chance to get in on that. Use my affiliate link for TCG Player if you can. But I did a video a couple weeks ago telling you what my strategy and my plan was going to be as a seller this weekend because I'm doing something differently than normal. Predominantly, we do not sell sealed product on TCG Player. I don't like the fees, I don't like the shipping, I don't like a lot of the things. And so what I do is I just sell sealed product locally. I've got my website at KitchenTableTCG.com that brings in some traffic every now and then from orders and from people who watch the channel and that kind of thing. And I don't really focus on sealed product. But over the last year or two, we've had some changes locally to our space. We've had some changes locally to, the way that I look at business. And we have focused so much more on buying collections and buying singles that the sealed product is not as big of a focus for me. And so at this point, I just wanted to clean up some room, to move some inventory, to kind of change the perspective of my business. And so I listed a ton of sealed product, like north of $100,000 worth of sealed product. We didn't sell all that, right? But we listed all of the sealed product that I don't want to keep anymore. That's just kind of out there. I was willing to sell. I'll end up keeping a bunch of it. We'll talk about that. But I want to give you guys my thoughts on both the market and what happened this weekend on TCG Player. And then I want to look into what did I learn as a business from doing so, because that's what I told you I was going to do. So I want to be honest with you about what this is. So number one, number one, what did we see on the market? Well, first off, Pokemon is the absolute home run standout of this weekend. It is absolutely insane. I listed basically any sealed product from Pokemon and Magic the Gathering that you would have seen in a store for the last 2 to 3 years. I listed on TCG Player this weekend. I had sealed Lost Origins boxes. I had every single Scarlet and Violet release. We had some older, Pokemon as well. Same with Magic. I had all sorts of Magic product, all the way back to, before Brothers War, Dominaria Remastered, and then every single release, Bloomborough collector boxes, Modern Horizons 3 collector boxes, all those products, everything listed. I mean, any release from the last 3 years, from an LGS perspective, I had extra inventory of. I kept some for the local store, and then I listed kind of the other stuff that I didn't want to hold on to anymore because of space and that kind of thing. Pokemon, by far the most boxes sold. By far the easiest selling product on the market on Black Friday. It's like not even comparable. We sold pretty much every single Pokemon booster box that we listed. There was one set, which is weird to me. You're not going to believe it. Twilight Masquerade, for whatever reason, did not sell nearly as much as any of the other sets. I don't know if my pricing, I did the same thing. I basically, priced it like $1 or $2 above all the lowest listings on Wednesday. And so then, I let the market catch up to my pricing a little bit. And then we saw orders. I mean, we sold 100 boxes of Stellar Crown this weekend. We sold so much product. But for whatever reason, Twilight Masquerade, it didn't sell. But Pokemon, by far, the easiest product to move this weekend on Black Friday. So what do you learn from that? What do you know from that? Well, a lot of you guys just watch me for Magic the Gathering. And a lot of you guys only collect and only invest in Magic the Gathering. You don't expose yourself to any Pokemon. Let me tell you, the demand for Pokemon is astronomical. It is crazy when you see these sales. The one guy bought like 16 Lost Origin booster boxes for me. I mean, when you see the people who come into this hobby from Pokemon, it is a stark difference from Magic the Gathering. I would encourage you to have some exposure in your business, in your personal collecting. If you enjoy Pokemon, If you are able to find your way into that, I would encourage you to look into it. I think a lot of people just write off Pokemon as a kid's thing. It has evolved, no pun intended, it has evolved so much over the last couple years, the pandemic and stuff. The demand is absolutely insane. So by far the biggest standout was Pokemon. Magic was super interesting to me. I kind of went into it thinking, hey, collector boxes are going to fly. Collector boxes are the big hype. That's the thing everybody wants. They're going to want that cash back on it. But again, I listed all the products, commander decks, collector boxes, set boxes, draft boxes, play boosters, everything was listed. Collector boxes went down in value this weekend. I don't know if the ones that I listed. At Modern Horizons 3 went down. When I listed Modern Horizons 3, it was like $397 a box. So I listed them at $400, thinking a couple of them would buy, and then my price would kind of, scoop up a little bit more. They went down to $393. Bloomborough, they were listed at $255, and the prices came down to $253. The Magic community, it feels like when you have a big sale like this, sure, the increase in sales come in. The increase in buyers show up to buy the product. But in addition, you have this increase in sellers, much like myself, who came to the market to take advantage of the sale. And it actually drove some of the prices down across the board. Those are a couple of them. Outlaws at Thunder Junction was another one. Really any of the more recent sets. So that was really, really interesting. I was anticipating when I was listing, like I listed a bunch of Modern Horizons 3 collector boxes. And I was like, man, I don't actually want to sell these. Like, I don't actually want to list these. Because I do think that that's a set, like, it's going to go up in value over time, in my opinion, like that kind of thing. But I stood to my beliefs of this is what was right for my business, to list all my product and to see what happens this weekend, to do a follow-up video with you. But none sold. So like it worked out well for me. Like it's an interesting dichotomy where that works. But it's interesting to see with Magic, some of the prices actually dropped down as more sellers came to the market than buyers. And I don't know what that means for Magic. I do know it changed my perspective a little bit on what do I want as a investor in terms of sealed product. The Magic demand seemed to not increase like the Pokemon demand for sure. Draft boxes though sold like crazy. It was really interesting. A lot of like Dominaria remastered drafts, which is so funny. Like these boxes sat in my storage for 3 years, 2 years, and like, why did I hold on to these stupid things? The amount of time and energy wasted on some of this product was incredible. But Dominaria remastered draft boxes, we sold like 3 cases worth of them. We sold a bunch of them. Like and it was all one box demand. Almost all the draft boxes across the board were people buying one box. I assume they're buying them to draft with their friends, to play some sealed with their friends, as a holiday thing, maybe to crack some packs, look for that Force of Will, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day with Magic, it seems like more product came to the market, and there's some things to learn that we'll get into there when I give you kind of my business insights from my own perspective at the end. The other games, man, low sales. One Piece. I mean, I listed a bunch of One Piece boxes. There was a big restock 3 or 4 months ago. I even told myself 3 or 4 months ago, I'm not going to sell the product when everybody else is trying to sell the product. I sold things locally, that kind of stuff, but then I was going to wait. So I took this as an opportunity, thinking, again, more people were going to come to the market. I mean, we sold some One Piece, but the One Piece sales compared to the amount of product I listed was pretty minimal compared to the other games, especially, again, compared to Pokemon. And again, comparing things to Pokemon is not super fair, but it is kind of it is showing you where the market is right now in the collectible card game. Sorcery, again, I didn't list any extra product for Sorcery. Sealed boxes, I don't really have any problem moving, so I don't really need to go to TCG Player. I've got a community for Sorcery, that kind of thing. We did see some increase in singles sales for Sorcery for sure. I'm not going to talk much about singles because I honestly wasn't the one shipping our singles this weekend. I was focused completely on the sealed product. I actually, we moved all the sealed product to my garage last week so that, you know, when my kids are sleeping and my family's hanging out, I could just work from my, you know, from my house. So it was kind of funny. I just basically spent the whole weekend, Friday night, all day Saturday night, a couple of the guys came over from, the employees came over, and then Sunday we just shipped from my garage. It was kind of fun. It was like, it was back to the roots of Kitchen Table TCG, back to the pandemic when I used to do that and ship things when, you know, we didn't have a store. But it's kind of fun. But I didn't handle many of the single sales, but I did hear, hey man, we're selling a ton of the Sorcery singles, which is great. We did not list any Sorcery boxes. And then Lorcana, the sales, again, I think what happened is I set my prices and then more people came under my prices than people came to the market. It's a similar thing I think what happened to some of the collector boxes for Magic is that I set my prices thinking the demand is going to increase and so the prices are going to go up a little bit. I didn't want all my product to sell on day one, and like we did, about half of our, you know, money sales came on day one. If you take a look at all the money we got in, about half of it was Friday. But it seems like for some of the other games other than Pokemon, the prices kind of went down compared to my listings, and Lorcana was definitely the one. So I don't know how well I can evaluate that. I chose not to reprice things. I just wanted to kind of ride the market out and see what happened. But yeah, Lorcana kind of met. So at the end of the day, before we get into like what did I learn and the details from the business side, from a market perspective side, these sales really give you a clear snapshot of what is the demand for TCGs compared to each other and compared across the board. And I just have to say, days like this, I love Pokemon. I have loved Pokemon since I was a kid. Days like this are the days where I'm like, man, Pokemon is such a bigger community and bigger thing than Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering stole my heart. I've been involved in Magic from a adult standpoint much longer than Pokemon, but it's days like this where I'm like, man, as a business and as a and maybe even as a YouTube channel, I don't know, but as a business, as an entrepreneur, as an individual, I need to increase my exposure to Pokemon because holy moly is the demand there compared to the other card games. I mean, it's crazy. So that's like the biggest thing I think I learned in terms of looking at the market as a whole. All right, so that was the market. Now I told you guys I would share with you kind of what did I learn as a business and what did I learn from doing sealed product on TCG Player, because I hadn't done that in the past. Well, first off, if I could sum it up in one word, if I could give you in one word what selling product on TCG Player is, it sucks. It is not easy. It is not fun. The system is ugly. The whole process is bad. And it's kind of like, I don't want to get too negative on TCG Player. It's kind of pathetic though. I mean, they made a lot of money off of my sales this weekend. Like a lot of money. I would venture to say profit-wise, I don't know what their cost is, but profit-wise, I made less money than they made off of me. It's like crazy how much, 10 to 15% or whatever. And the lack of like processes that they have built into their system is kind of pathetic, especially now that they're owned by eBay. The biggest thing for those of you who don't know, there's no shipping button. You have to export your shipping to like Pirate Ship, and I actually ran the numbers. We did 485 shipments this weekend on Pirate Ship, an average label cost of $6.48. Now this included singles, so we ship anything over $25 with tracking. So it included singles all the way up through people who ordered, that guy who ordered the 18 Lost Origin boxes from me. He got a expensive label because it's an expensive thing. So that kind of, it's the whole board, but 485 times we export the CSV to Pirate Ship, and then we import the orders. We're not printing off each individual order like that. But that's a lot of work, a lot of side work, and a lot can go wrong when you have all these different things that you have to do to get your tracking number. When you compare that to something like eBay, right, which is owned by them, which is why this is so awkward, where you can go through your orders and print your labels, print your packing slips right from the system. And there's no issues with, for Pirate Ship, they changed the UI on TCG Player. And so for like a day, we couldn't even export the orders correctly. And then when you go to import them, they changed it so that you have to change the headers from the CSV, but you can't save it. So every time on the new UI, you can't save it. Anyway, long story short, it's just convoluted. And like, they are making an astronomical amount of revenue at least, but probably profit too on TCG Player side. And you would think giving sellers tools like how to shipping tools to print off labels and to organize their shipping for within would be amazing, and it would help and benefit them astronomically. I will not go to TCG Player to sell sealed product because of this. This is the reason. There's no bigger reason than that. There's no other reason really, other than like it's a pain in the ass to ship from them. So why would I do it? Now, they do have tools that you can pay for, like Crystal Commerce or whatever, that integrate with Shopify, which is great, but I don't want to pay an extra 2, 3, whatever % on top of the fees that I'm already paying on TCG Player. I don't feel like that's fair to a seller. I will just find other ways to sell my sealed product rather than going on TCG Player. So it's frustrating. It's like super frustrating. I could talk for hours about it. Things like, their products don't have a weight attached to them. So you have to batch them in your head when you're doing it on TCG Player. It's just like, it's ugly. That's really the biggest thing. I mean, like, that's the biggest thing I learned. That's the biggest takeaway from like a business perspective. The other business perspective is because of a lot of these things, I really think like sealed investment, particularly in Magic, I mean, Pokemon, those 3 years of holding sealed product as a business were extremely profitable for my business. Magic was not. And like, I get it. You have some issues there with Magic where like you had this 2 years of complete overprinting, which was a lot of the product that I had. I don't want that to be lost on anybody. A lot of the product we sold was like Baldur's Gate, Draft, set boxes and Dominaria Remastered and that kind of era where things were like way overprinted. That was a lot of it. But when you just take the raw number and compare it to Pokemon, a lot of the Magic was break even or loss, profit wise. A lot of the most of the Pokemon was just, straight profit. I don't think we lost money on selling hardly any Pokemon other than maybe like we sold booster bundles, which like after the shipping label and that kind of stuff, I probably lost a little bit of money selling. But sealed investment, what I'm learning is that it takes up so much space. And then when you ship it, and if you don't have a platform, you have to you pay the fees on TCG Player. When you ship it, you have to pay an average of $6.48 for your shipping labels and that kind of stuff. And like even when then you have the negatives like Brothers War that you held for 3 years and it doesn't do anything and it's sitting at the same value and you didn't make any money off of. And then even when you do have the big wins, like Lord of the Rings Special Collector Edition that everybody's pumping at $2,000 a box, you don't even want to sell those. Like, you don't even want to sell the big wins because you know that they're just going to continue to be the big wins. You have to expose yourself to so much risk. Again, as opposed to what my goal is now as my business, what I'm really leaning into singles. It takes up less room. The shipping is easier. The organization is easier. It is a much different. It's a much different endeavor. This weekend. Okay, just to put it in perspective. So what we do is I boxed up the orders. It took me 5 carloads, and I should have called USPS and set up a scheduled pickup delivery. I know that's the right way to do things, and that's the way that, you know, probably the bigger businesses do. That's not me. I'm like seat in my pants, baby. I roll, I go, and like I didn't want to wait for USPS, so I put it in my, I have a 4Runner, I put it in my car, 5 trips, I don't remember. It was a lot of trips to the post office. It's a lot of work compared to singles. It's just, in my opinion, it's a much more economical time and energy solution to this business than focusing on sealed product. There's too many negatives of sealed product. The space, the size, the you know, the risk level compared to singles. It's a lot higher. So those are my thoughts from Black Friday. I wrote this down. I just shared it with you. The average on the shipping. I thought that was kind of fun. I always love looking at the end of the year how much money I spent on shipping. It's crazy. It's like one of my favorite, you know, statistics from my business. Let me know what you thought. If you did, you know, stuff on TCG Player this weekend, what was your experience, particularly in singles? We didn't really notice like an extreme influx of orders for singles. I bet you our orders were an extra 25% or something like that of singles orders, but we also did not focus on that. We didn't change our prices. You know, we kind of stuck with some higher prices that we typically have anyway. Let me know what you thought about TCG Players Black Friday sale. Let me know what you thought about all my opinions on things. I hope you have yourself a fantastic day. Be kind to the people around you. We'll see you again next video.